to another episode of Empowerment Through Encouragement, or Encouragement Through Empowerment, however you want to say that. And the idea behind this is to not just give you information that is just running gamut all over the world, but actionable steps that you can take and simple principles that you can apply to your life and really create the life that you are designed and desiring to live. And today I have my co-host, Dr. Mendy, and welcome, Dr. Mendy.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. It's almost the weekend, so we're super excited. I don't know where I do more at during the week or during the weekend. So life is full and happy on our end. So that's always good news. But I'm super excited about this topic today. We're actually going to be navigating the 4 circles of healing for ADD, ADHD. When I went to college, I went to a Christian university and they were very focused on teaching us how to operate with all spheres of your mind, body, and soul. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit this morning, how to navigate these 4 circles of healing. So imagine a life where you or your loved ones with ADD, because I live with a person with ADD, is not a constant battle but a manageable aspect of fulfilling your balanced life. Like every day is not a struggle. Imagine this as, you're living in harmony, living in peace. Because sometimes when that loved one or yourself is struggling, it can be somewhat of a struggle. So today we're going to picture a holistic approach that considers not just one, but all 4 essential areas of your life working together in harmony to bring about this real and lasting healing. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to look at the biological, the psychological, the social, and the spiritual circles of healing. So hopefully by the end of this episode, our goal is to have you take some actionable steps that can support yourself or your loved one on this journey. So Stan, I have some questions for you today. So let's get started. So first of all, can you explain the concept of the 4-circle healing?
Yeah, the 4 circles are the areas of our life that everybody, not just ADD or ADHD, but everybody experiences. And like you said, it's the social, the psychological, the biological, and the spiritual. We're made up of many components in our body, just as we are with many components of our internal and external environments.
Yeah.
So the idea behind this is to, like you said, to enhance the quality of life, that to support you on your journey, wherever you're at, and to demystify what we experience, when we can demystify it and we go, oh gosh, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Or it's not that hard. All I needed to do was add one more element and it puts a puzzle together. So
Yeah.
that's what our focus is today, and understanding and having a little bit of a brief understanding. This isn't a comprehensive, but it is probably more than what you've been told. It's not going to be academic. This is simple, applicable principles and processes that you can put into place, that anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. That's why it is really easy to accomplish.
Yeah, awesome. So talk about so how does the biological circle play a role in treating ADD? So maybe first of all, define what is the biological circle, and then how does it play a role in helping to heal the ADD?
Well, the biological circle includes the genetic tendencies. So what is it that our proclivities are? What is our diet? What is our exercise? What is our sleep? What is our overall physical health? So when you think about how much time you're sleeping, I used to wear a badge of honor, and I could go 20 hours without sleep. I could work for 20 hours, and I actually physically did this. I actually physically worked 3 days in a row just to prove that I could do it. 22 hours. Now that was dumb. And I say that it was dumb because I didn't realize what I was doing to my body, to my brain. I was taxing it highly. And
Yeah,
sleep is so important. So
yeah,
also understanding our diet and our exercise. And when we bring those two elements together, this is what makes the energy in our body operate at an optimal or a suboptimal level. So if you are finding yourself running through every drive-through for each of your meals, those drive-throughs are not doing you any benefit. They are not doing you any benefit. It's not a
yeah,
convenience, because a convenience today is actually a high cost tomorrow. And most people don't realize the high cost because they don't advertise it. That, when you order that Big Mac, they don't say, um, uh, stomach issues or intestinal issues or brain fog.
right,
They don't promote it that way. So
right.
understanding that ADD, ADHD runs in the families. So when you
Yeah,
understand your genetic factors, it's crucial. And
yeah,
knowing how important nutrition is and the right diet can simplify and significantly impact the symptoms that
yeah,
you're experiencing. Now, we're not chasing symptoms. What we want to do is we want to find the root cause. What is causing our experience? And we talked about this a little while back
yeah,
about different foods for different people. And last week we talked about the elimination diet again,
yeah,
and doing that 21 days where you eliminate the gluten, the soy, the dairy. You eliminate foods for 21 days, and then you gradually bring them in and take a look and see, is this causing the problem? If it is, what can we substitute it with? And, having the Yucca app,
yeah,
big game changer.
yeah,
Just as you shared, Mendy, with going into your pantry and going, oh my gosh, what can I eat? I've got all this junk in here, and this is the beauty. So exercise, and proper sleep, avoiding toxins. This is in your biological toxins like mold and other essential factors that can influence your biological aspect of ADD, ADHD.
yeah, absolutely. Just those things alone in the biological circle are huge and play such a critical role. I know sleep, like you mentioned, is a huge, and then diet. Just those two things alone can make a huge impact on on your healing. I'm just being cognitively aware. Here's some things I need to do to make this a little bit better. But let's talk about the psychological circle then. What is that, and how do we work within that to bring the healing?
Well, our psychology is how a person thinks
Yeah,
and about their mental health.
yeah,
So one of the things that, as a brain health trainer, brain health coach, is that I focus on what is the language that you're bringing up? What are the automatic negative thoughts? And Dr. Daniel Amen coined the phrase having ants. And these are automatic negative thoughts. It's like,
mm,
gosh, I'm always doing this. I'm just so dumb. I can't ever get this. Nobody likes me. This always happens to me. I should have done this. If
yeah,
I only would have done that. And these are those automatic negative thoughts. And we can wake up
yeah,
and we can take an inventory of
yeah,
our self talk. We can change our life.
yeah,
And it is that positive, and it's not just positive thinking. And I want to be very clear about that.
yeah.
You can't just walk out to the garden and go, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds,
Right. It
right?
doesn't work that way,
You
right?
you either get down and pull those weeds out as they're growing, till it, or I got a weed cutter and I cut those weeds out.
Right,
And what I do is I just don't cut them out, I rake them away.
right.
Because if I leave segments of those weeds,
Yeah,
they're going to grow. It's
yeah,
amazing. I can plant grass seed all day long and it doesn't grow, but weeds will grow everywhere. So this is what happens in the brain, right? In the psychology. So
yeah,
understanding a person's development and upbringing, what are the internal messages of either success or failure? You
Yeah.
know, if you grew up in an environment where you have higher dreams or higher aspirations, and you have somebody in your family or maybe even in your close proximity, and they say, "Oh, that's dumb. You can never do that.
Yeah.
Nobody in our family has ever done that. You're never going to do that. You know, you'll just be lucky to get a job at wherever."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you start to have these thoughts, they're developing, they're bringing this internal message. And the more that we reprogram those internal messages, our psychology gets messed up. So, you know, one of the things is to avoid and avoid these thoughts.
Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
one, address them, and then promote a higher thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because I do think that automatic negative thoughts is huge in a lifestyle. And again, it's not that you're intentionally trying to make that happen. It's just that sometimes it just happens. They just come up constantly, right? So being able to be mindful of stopping those thoughts and then recrafting that message in your mind is huge. I know that we are nowadays we throw around the term mental health a lot, but really it's just being mindful of how you're thinking. And yeah, it's not just reprogramming. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I am this. I am this. Although positive affirmations are truly helpful, it really is like shifting how you're thinking, and a lot of that is gratitude, like you say, just being grateful, just shifting that thought. So I love that. Those are great recommendations on how to stop that inflow of ants,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I want to touch on that just a little bit. So as an educator, you see more kids, or you've seen more kids than most people do. You see more kids in one day
Yeah.
than most people do in a year.
Yeah.
And so as you observe these kids, could you tell what was going on in their psychology, the way that they interacted?
Typically, yes. You can tell, especially in a classroom where they're interacting with each other, you can see the negativity already coming out, especially those ones that are really uh, prone towards the negative thoughts. You can absolutely see the things coming out of their mouth, coming out of their behavior. I think it's a really early, easy to detect at an early age.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, so I had a mom yesterday, we were talking, and, I noticed that one of the things she doesn't like to do is finish projects, and that's part of her personality, is to not finish projects. It's just, part of her innate being, and I said, "Oh, interesting." She's, barely 4 years old, but I can see that she's already really, showing that personality of not finishing things.
Mhm,
You know, you get
mhm.
started. There is a personality type that gets started on a million things, but never can finish, any of them. Just move on, move on, move on. And she said, "Well, fascinating enough, my mom was like that." So it's being mindful. I said, "Well, fortunately, you're now at an age that you know this is part of the personality, part of what's been inbred. So being able to train her now to start a project and finish a project is huge and will be such an advantageous thing for her later in life." So
Yeah,
understanding how children are thinking, how children are already processing, and taking that, being mindful and really training them to think in a different way, to act in a different way is huge. So the more you can learn about this, absolutely the better.
yeah. And the old saying that the seed doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we see those proclivities, those tendencies
Yeah.
in our children, then we have to ask the question, where did it come from?
Yeah. 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 And
And
yeah,
yeah,
honestly, I'm the same. So I do have that personality type 2 that doesn't like to finish projects. And I have to be very mindful of that. Because my mom says, yeah, actually, I have a sign in my office that says, I complete what I start. Because my mom looked at the sign a little while back and she's like, yeah, we don't complete anything we start. And so I was just like, yeah, I'm stopping that right now.
That's awesome. I think that's awesome. You know, it's when we can identify,
Yeah.
then we're empowered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome. So let's move on so we can get through our other two circles here. So talk about the social circle. How does the social circle, how is that important in bringing this healing process?
Yeah, so the social circle looks at a person's lives and their opportunities, their stresses and their relationships. So, what is it that makes somebody frustrated? Okay, so I had someone that was an employer that would say, "This frustrates me," and it wasn't that he was so much frustrated with the person, it was just that the situation frustrated him. But the way that it came across was that this was an element that challenged him. So it became a very stress. When that stress is on him, it also stressed on the relationships that he had with his employees. And the other employees would say, "Man, is he mad at me?" I'm like, "No, that's just the way that he is."
Yeah.
And when you understand what a person's, what their social circle looks like,
Yeah.
who they allow themselves to be around, the health of the people that you spend time with, this is a key factor. So our influence from outside sources, whether it's our phone, our TV, our radio, the things that we listen to, the music that we listen to, when we understand that
Yeah.
this is affecting our social condition, our social circle,
Yeah.
and it can also predict your success and longevity. So if
Yeah.
you're listening to negative things and you're around negative people and you absorb that,
Yeah.
there's an energy level that changes. This
Yeah.
is affecting everything that's going on in your body. So it's
Yeah.
vitally important to ensure that you're around the right environment. I think it was Jim Rohn that said that are the you are the equivalent of your five closest friends. And in wealth, in health, in spiritual growth, in social bonding, the five people that you hang around the most, there's going to be a good indication that you're going to mirror them, because that's what we have. We have mirror neurons that mirror our environment.
Yes.
And so this applies to adults and children with ADD or not ADD. You don't have to have these symptoms or this experience to allow your social circle to wreak havoc on your success.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, hey, if the people that you're around are chickens and you're an eagle, get out of the coop and start to fly. That's just something that makes the difference. Really, knowing our environment makes everything change.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And actually, I had to write down a note to myself to evaluate my social circle because
Mhm.
it is true. I believe that you are who you hang around or you become who you hang around, especially in children. You can easily see when children are hanging around negative influences. It's so easy for them to pick up the traits. We forget that as adults, that the people that we hang around, we become like.
Yeah,
So very, very important for us to constantly evaluate our social circle, especially if we're trying to improve things in our lives. Then, if you're trying to improve, you might have to break some relationships in order to move on to
yeah.
establish new relationships that will help you and improve in that particular light. So that was actually a good note for me today because I want to keep doing that. I think we all need to keep learning and growing together. But also I want to note on this social circle you brought up a little bit earlier, a lot of individuals with ADD, ADHD tend to be entrepreneurs and they're leading organizations. Like I see some very powerful millionaires on social media, but you can see that they have that, I call it nervous energy, but it's the
Mhm.
ADD running around inside of their heads because they're constantly move, 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 move. So, how let's talk about, like, if you have an employer or you are under the influence of a person with that high energy ADD, how do you respond to that if you're not you know living that? In fact, was watching a one show and the person said, "Oh, well, I hope I can keep up with you." Because again, when you have this ADD, you have tons of energy. So living in that high energy, for some people, that can be exhausting.
Well, okay, so I've been in the employer that's had that high energy, and as I appreciate it, and I never really attributed it to ADD because I was not diagnosed,
Yeah.
and I just thought that everybody, you know,
Had that high
and
energy. Yeah, no.
and and I would go without eating breakfast, and I would go without eating lunch, and I would eat dinner, and I had workers that would be like, "I'm going to be like you," and I'm like, "Don't be like me. You
Yeah,
be like you."
yeah,
And I appreciated my proclivity to have that lifestyle. And without understanding it, it was just something that I appreciated about myself.
yeah,
Now, if I'm working for somebody that has more energy than me, it's been rare.
yeah,
Um, but I also appreciate the fact that I have people that work with me that don't have my energy.
yeah,
And it's at equal balance.
yeah,
So, when you understand and demystify this and don't label people,
yeah, right.
like just like you said about starting a project and this child, what is it? Okay, so for me, having that type of energy, I got bored easily.
Yeah,
I needed to be in an environment where I could thrive, where I could succeed,
yeah,
accelerate,
yeah,
and get promoted.
yeah,
And if I couldn't get promoted, I got bored.
yeah,
And I would talk to my supervisors and I'd say, "What else do you have for me? What
yeah,
else can I learn?" So when you are attentive to the individual, not throw them into just a group.
yeah,
If you're going fishing in the ocean, you generally want to know what you're fishing for
yeah,
because you could catch some stuff that you don't want.
yeah,
And this is the same thing, is that when you're appreciating what you're going after and you can communicate that,
yeah,
now it's not that you want to be better than everybody else, but it was just that I wanted to accelerate because that was my learning tendency.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that. So that's, again, just recognition,
Yeah,
understanding what's going on with you, with the people around you is huge so that you know how to adapt to that, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to our fourth circle, and that's the spiritual circle. So, how does this contribute to healing? Why is this important?
So the spiritual circle, it's not about religion. So let me just say that. It's not about religion. If you walk into a room and you feel an energy, that's your spirit speaking to you.
Yeah.
You have this energy, and it has been measured that we can have an electromagnetic current energy field around us as much as 3 meters on each side, and
Wow.
so we can feel that energy. So our spirit, it's where we're finding our meaning and our purpose in life. It's understanding why you care about what you care about, what drives you. It's an internal, intrinsic kind of energy that you walk into an environment and you go, "These are my people," or you walk into another environment and you go, I'm going to be hesitant. I'm going to watch this. Where am I getting my meaning? If all my meaning just comes from me, I live in a very shallow, very limited mindset and a very shallow world.
Yeah.
So I have meaning and purpose that comes beyond me. For me, it's God.
Yeah.
And this is what drives me. This is what helps me understand that I have a purpose that is beyond anything that was created outside of me. It's what's been created inside of me. It's also about the connections to my past generations. Like when I met my dad when I was 18 years old,
Yeah.
I'd never been around him. Yet when I walked across the airport, I walked just like him.
Yeah.
There was this spiritual connection that I had.
Yeah.
And when we went to dinner for the first time, um, my dad and his wife said, "Why don't you go ahead and order first?" When I ordered my food, I ordered it just like he would. They looked at each other and they're like, "This is definitely your son."
Yeah.
And it was just there's a spiritual connection that we have, and if we don't find it, then we're at a loss. We're feeling like there's something missing, and this is where our higher purpose, our higher sense of purpose, and our higher self come into play, and having a sense of meaning that can provide direction,
Yeah.
and motivation. Why
Yeah.
am I motivated the way that I am? Because I know that I have a higher purpose. It's not just the environment that's around me. And it doesn't just benefit those with ADD or ADHD, it benefits everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I was going to say that earlier that all of what we're talking about today really isn't just for ADD or those with
Right,
ADHD. These are tips, circles that all of us need to be cognizant and aware of in our own lives. So it's a fantastic subject, regardless. So yeah, I love that, about the spiritual circle. I was thinking while you were talking about that, my husband has this little meter and it tells you where the radiation is in the room is. And so we were testing it on the microwave, and you had to stand back away from the microwave, like
yeah,
halfway across the room to avoid that radiation. Uh,
right,
so I love that analogy of the energy that you're actually giving off, and that can be good energy or bad energy, right?
exactly,
And people pick up on that, but being mindful of that as an individual yourself, what kind of energy am I giving off today? Am I giving off peace, joy, happiness? Or, sometimes there's days when you're not giving off quite those particular elements of your energy. So being aware of that, and also being aware when I mean, it's very clear, all of us can sense, I'm sure, when you walk into a place, the type of energy that is going on in the room. And so that's such a key element to, for again, going back to the people that you hang around. So
right,
being able to sense that, and then to determine, is this the type of energy I want to, is it the radiation I want to live in, so to speak?
right.
So now I'm very hesitant to turn on the microwave and stay close to it, simply because I know there's a zone there that I need to stay away from. So
Exactly.
good stuff.
Exactly. And I love the way that you brought that up because that's exactly what we need to focus on in our social environments as well.
Yeah.
Because if you walk into a room and you know unhappy is in there, and you walk up to them and you say, "Are you happy today?" "No, I'm not." "Well, why not?" "It's just another one of those days." Well, if that's your cue, that's the red light. Don't go through, don't pass go, don't collect $200. Leave that room,
Right.
because it's going to bring you down, and it's
Yeah.
also going to change what's going on
Yeah.
biologically in your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. So true. That's a good one. I love that for sure. All right. So how can parents, knowing that these four circles now, how can parents help their children who might identify something based on what we said today? When they identify that, how can they help their children who might be struggling with one of these areas?
Well, as we've talked about in the earlier episodes, ADD doesn't just show up.
Yeah.
It's it you're not fine and he's not fine. And then all of a sudden, little Johnny or little Sally is just a mess. They inherit what they have
Yeah.
from the parents. And it's not a blame or shift game. What it is it's an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
So one of the key things is that if you haven't been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, and I've talked to several people in the last several weeks that have been diagnosed as an adult with autism
Wow.
and autism spectrum. And when
Wow.
they understand that, now they understand the tendencies of their child.
Yeah.
So when you understand that the same attention factors that are affecting your child may be impacting the parents, just like you said, your mom didn't finish things. And so you know that you don't finish things. And so when somebody says, why don't you finish things? And you say, well, I didn't finish it. My mom didn't finish it. My grandma didn't finish it. My great great grandma didn't finish it. Nobody in my family and the women finished things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you just pause for a moment, you go, well, what was the cause of that?
Yeah.
The one of the things that I want to encourage parents to do is focusing on the right diet,
Yeah.
the nutritional, the holistic approach, natural supplements, natural foods,
Yeah.
and then possibly medication.
Yeah.
But do the holistic, do the natural things first. The diet elimination, the foods that we eat. How much sugars are you bringing in? How much processed foods are contributing to the experience? And here again, don't chase the symptom. Start with a natural consideration, like we talked about
Yeah.
the elimination diet, 21 days, and then add supplements. Um,
I
and
love that.
then being open to the medication. That would be the route that I would take it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I like those. Those are some key interventions for the four circles. I think those are so important. And again, like we've talked about so many times before, it's not just do everything on one day. Oh
right,
my gosh, Stan said, I got to do these 4 steps immediately. No, it doesn't work that way.
right.
Because if you do, or you try to, you're just going to end up frustrated. And so just finding that one thing we said today that might resonate with you, and then being mindful of that and say, okay, yes, I know we have too much sugar in our diet, and trying to pull back on that. And every day is not going to be perfect, right?
Right.
I
Exactly.
find myself wanting ice cream. So every day is not going to be perfect. I have revamped my eating style a lot, but it's taken a lot of years to get to this point where I'm at right now, mostly protein and vegetables. So yeah, it's not an overnight journey. It's a long lifetime journey. So being able to recognize that and then making those small adjustments and being mindful of that is huge.
Yes. And that's just it, Mandy, is that you can't jump in and swim with the sharks your first go out. Just don't do that. I don't want any hate mail, and I'd love to hear what it is that people are applying, what it is that they're attempting to do, and having that support, and also surrounding yourself with people, just like, you know, your husband bought a meter to read.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't do that just in seclusion. He wanted to bring that to your attention and say, hey, look, if you're standing in front of the microwave, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And the more that we're aware and the more that we apply these simple principles, like, okay, so if you're going to use the microwave, you hit start and you walk away from it. Don't stand there holding the door, waiting for the counting down the timer,
Yeah.
because it's radiating your food. And,
That's right.
hopefully there's going to be another option that we can eliminate microwaves, but that's another topic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that's another story we've been sold. But anyhow, yeah. And actually, he goes around with that little meter like my watch that I'm wearing. He puts it on there. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, we don't even realize how much radiation my phone, my watch
Yeah.
is, that we've, you know, see how much is actually going in our body. So it's a scary thing once you get the meter, so to speak. But
Yeah,
again, small steps. Then once you realize, back away, so to speak. So
exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So great conversation. I think these are four great areas for us to talk about and to help moms and dads realize that here's another little step. Here's what I'm seeing. Just being observing your child and their behavior, observing yourself and your own behavior goes a long way.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, so just observing yourself and
Yes,
being
that's it.
and taking inventory of what am I doing? How's this going? What am I finishing? What am I not finishing? Um, am I losing things all the time? Like, just take inventory and see what's going on.
Yes. And the reason that I did what I just did, because I wanted you to say it again,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's what it is. Can you repeat that?
yeah,
And it is when we repeat it, now we rehearse it. And when
yeah,
we rehearse it, it becomes part of our identity. And now you don't stand in front of the microwave because
yeah,
you're thinking about it. Now you don't pick up those chips without going, oh, what would Yucca say? You know, you don't pick up that food without looking at the ingredients. The more that you become um, aware
yeah,
and informed of the possibilities that could be contributing to a less than optimal experience,
yeah.
the more empowered you become to create the experience that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, I've done that myself lately with the Yucca app. Like I'll scan it knowing it's like I did a little experiment. Like if I eat this food, am I going to feel that inflammation pain in my body
Right.
tomorrow? And so it is. It's just a mindful act and then understanding, oh my gosh, this really does make my body feel bad
Right.
after I consume this. It's huge. So yeah, finding those things and being mindful.
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
So I want to just, if you're taking notes, key interventions: maintaining a healthy diet, regular exercise, ensuring a toxin-free environment. If there's mold in the house, if there's stale air, if you are working in, let's say, a furniture store, or if you're in a place where there's fumes of either gas or oil or even stains, and some people that are listening may even still be using pesticides around their property. All of these things, taking the precautions so that you don't have these causing you the
Yeah,
experience that you're having. Um, Addressing the automatic negative thoughts. This is so critical. Knowing your self language, knowing your self talk, taking an inventory of it. We think 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day,
yeah,
and 90% of them are the same thoughts that we thought yesterday. 90%.
yeah,
So, socially, it's about being around positive environments, supportive environments,
yeah,
and relationships. And spiritually, it's about nurturing the sense of meaning and purpose.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Good information, great conversation. I took a note for myself today. Evaluate my social circle because that's huge.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, I hope that if you've enjoyed this, you will take the time to subscribe and like and share this with somebody. I know for a fact that I'm going to buy this CD. Okay. So I need this myself. It's a constant reminder that I need is like, what is the environment that I'm in?
yeah,
And how can I enhance that? How can I better that? And
yeah,
what can I do to, even just tidying up my desk?
yeah,
That is my I don't, it's not my social environment, but it's my surroundings.
yeah,
It's what is surrounding me that makes me feel the way that I do.
yeah,
So like, subscribe, share this, and leave a comment. And I'd love to hear back from those that are listening to this at the time that they're listening to it. And send a comment. If you have
yeah,
a question, if you want to go further, let's have a conversation. Both Dr. Mendy and myself would be more than happy to support you, encourage you, and walk with you on this journey to a happier, healthier life.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye
Take
for
care.